Welcome back. You're watching Daybreak. Now we'll continue with the latest stories from the region. Following the latest Iranian missiles and drone attacks targeting American military assets and regional states, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan's visit to Qatar has reinforced hopes that diplomacy may yet rescue the Memorandum of Understanding between the US and Iran, an agreement whose implementation has already proved deeply fragile. Now, Fidan called for a return to the agreement and said Turkiye was coordinating closely with Qatar, which continues to employ its diplomatic channels in pursuit of de-escalation. His visit coincided with a working visit to Doha by Iraqi Prime Minister Ali Faleh al-Zaidi, underlining the intensity of regional diplomatic activity at this exceptionally sensitive moment. Joining us now to discuss further is Zuriya Garayeva, PhD, Political Sciences. Zurieva, welcome to Daybreak.
Thank you for having me.
Not Zurieva, sorry, I pronounced your name incorrectly, Zuriya. Welcome once again. Now, Hakan Fidan wasn't the only senior regional figure in Doha. Iraqi Prime Minister Ali Faleh al-Zaidi also held talks with the Qatari leadership. How sensitive is this moment in the Middle East? And what does this concentration of regional diplomacy in Qatar tell us about the urgency of efforts to prevent a wider conflict?
Thank you for your question. Actually, you have touched upon a very important aspect of the current regional developments. If we speak specifically about this visit, this is important because it's taking place, as you said, at a very sensitive time for the Middle East. The region is facing growing tensions, military escalation, as you said, and serious security risks. In this situation, Turkey and Qatar are trying to coordinate their positions and support diplomatic efforts. We should remember that Turkey and Qatar have a close strategic partnership, and it can affect this situation, the realities in the region, I think. They cooperate in political, economic, security, and also defense issues, and they also share similar views on many regional developments. I think it's a very important factor. So this visit is not only about, we can't assess just in bilateral relations, it's also about the wider regional situation. Another important point is that both countries have strong diplomatic channels with different regional and international actors. Qatar has played an active mediation role, we can remember, in several conflicts. And also Turkey has also maintained dialogue with many sides, and I think this gives both countries, Turkey and Qatar, an opportunity to contribute to de-escalation and also how to say crisis management. And this visit may also focus on the situation not only in the context of war between Iran and USA, also in Gaza, tensions before, as I said, Iran and Israel, developments in Syria, and also the risk of a wider regional conflict. And Turkey and Qatar understand that further escalation would create serious political, humanitarian, also economic consequence for the whole region. And energy security, trade routes are also very important, and any conflict in the Gulf or the wider Middle East can affect global energy markets, transportation routes, and international trade. For this reason, regional stability is not only important for Turkey and Qatar, but also for many other countries. In my opinion, the main message of this visit is that diplomacy must remain active, and I think Turkey and Qatar, these countries, want to show that regional problems should be addressed through dialogue, through coordination, through peaceful political mechanisms.
Okay, Zuriya, now let's move on. Let's move on in the interest of time. Let's move on from the diplomatic efforts to another most important player here is Israel. Now, how concerned is Israel, or how concerned are they likely to be by Hakan Fidan's visit and by this wider coordination amongst Turkey, Qatar and Pakistan and Iraq? Could Israel view the emergence of a coordinated regional diplomatic initiative as constraining its freedom of action towards Iran?
Yeah, I think I would like to assess the visit in the broader context of the ongoing tensions between the United States and Iran. And if we ask this question, the risk of further escalation hasn't disappeared, and we can't remind this, and this remains one of the main security challenges for the region. And in context of Israel, this region, the other countries of this region, Iraq, and also the main factor, Turkey. Turkey has once again demonstrated its growing diplomatic role. We know the situation, the landscape, diplomatic relations between Turkey and Israel, but it recently hosted the, we can remind, NATO summit, and Turkey continues to present itself as a country that is ready to facilitate dialogue whenever possible. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has repeatedly expressed Turkey's willingness to support diplomatic solutions instead of military escalation. Also, the minister of Turkey repeatedly expressed this willingness of Turkey, and I think that Qatar also has a significant experience in mediation. It has maintained communication channels with different regional and international actors and has played an important role in previous negotiations. And I think it can affect these tensions between Israel and Iran.
Okay. Now, the bilateral agenda, Zuriya, also included preparations for the 12th meeting of the Turkiye-Qatar Supreme Strategic Committee. That's expected to take place in Turkey later this year. What are the principal priorities within this strategic partnership, particularly in defence, energy, trade and regional security? And to what extent do you think could closer Turkiye-Qatar coordination alter regional balance?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, these two countries have a close strategic partnership, as you said, in political side, in economic side, security. We know in economy is the base relationship between countries, and they also share, as I said, similar views, and that's why on many regional developments they share similar views. And so I think that this meeting, this also visit is not only about bilateral relations, diplomatic relations. It's also, we can assess this in context of economics, trade, energy, and regional development, because regional situation, because we know that the tense remains in this region, and for continuing the relations between other sides, they should affect this current situation in the region. And as I said, Qatar has played an active mediation role, we know, and Turkey also maintained a dialogue with many sides, and that's why I think this gives both countries an opportunity to contribute to all sides, to economic, to trade, to energy sides.
Okay. Zuriya, thank you so much for joining us on the program. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate your analysis.
Thank you, too.